I have no doubt he was watching your game last night, where afterwards, Zach Taylor doing Bengals radio, it might have been with our friend Dan Horde, had a mic drop moment at the end. He ended his interview by saying, "The Bengals are back." Mike, what'd you see from them last night?
I didn't hear about that. That's pretty cool, and I feel the same way. You know, they beat Seattle and San Francisco and Buffalo, and those are 3 good wins in a row, and that's not taking away from the win against Arizona before that, but they're on a heater. They've won 4 in a row. This is a lot like it was last year, and what we're seeing is Joe Burrow's calf is better, and they are who they have been. The ability to defend people in this league is so good for so many of the good teams that the plays that are unscripted, when the eraser is out there in the quarterback's hand, he's running around with the ball, whether it's Josh or it's Patrick Mahomes or it's Lamar or it's Herbert tonight or Joe Burrow, that's the difference maker in the key plays of the game. And Joe Burrow has his calf back to health where he can do that. And it made a difference in those early drives, and it made a difference in their win over Buffalo, who's got some work to do here in the second half of the season. It's going to be a tough haul for the Bills in the second half.
And you made the point after those first 2 drives, because Josh Allen marched his team down the field like, hey, this is going to be a great night. We have these 2 great quarterbacks. And then Lou Anarumo's defense put the clamps down, and we really didn't see anything. They had a couple of drives that stalled, obviously, but anything productive until the end of the game. How concerned should they be in Buffalo this morning?
Yeah, I think concerned. And I don't think it's because the team isn't good. They're good. I think the schedule is a mountain coming forward, and they have a bunch of injuries. You know, you can bring in people like Rasul Douglas to replace what you lose with Tre'Davious White, like Linval Joseph, who comes in the middle of the year like he did with Philadelphia and was part of a Super Bowl run. You can bring him in to take a little bit of what you missed without Daquan Jones. But you start losing people over and over, and you had injuries in the game. Benford gets hurt, misses the second half. Micah Hyde gets injured in and out of the lineup. You lose a linebacker in Bernard during the game. At some point, it's going to matter. They kept it together. I mean, Cincinnati didn't walk up and down the field on them at all in the second half. Buffalo hung in the game. But given what they have coming up, you know, you look at the AFC and you're thinking maybe it's going to take 10. And right now, the AFC North is halfway there at this point. So I'm a little worried that Buffalo's not going to be able to get to the playoffs. Now, having said that, they can beat Miami head-to-head and win the division. They've got that shot at the end of the season. So they're just going to have to keep pace, but keeping pace is going to be hard because there's a backload to this Buffalo schedule. But I trust Sean McDermott and I trust Josh Allen, so I'm not going to bet against them. But I'm a little more worried if I'm a Bills fan than I was last night.
Yeah, I trust them both, and they have the quarterback, and they've proven they could beat the Dolphins, and they have that game, even though it is going to be obviously a lot on the line there. I was coming into the season, Mike, they were that one team where I hate to say, well, the pressure is on them, because pressure, as you know, is on every team and every coach and every quarterback in this league. It's not more different one place than another. But it kind of feels like this group has to do it now, this year. Like, you know, Vaughn's not getting any younger. This could be it for him this year. Like, how many times can you keep this group as currently constructed together and say the results are going to be different?
Yeah, windows close fast, and they don't always close because of age. Sometimes they close because of salary cap. And it's funny, Chris and I were talking about this during the week, and we mentioned it briefly on the air. You know, Cincinnati's window changes if they can't bring T. Higgins back. And it's really hard to have 2 receivers on number 1 receiver contracts plus a quarterback you're paying $250 million to and field an offensive line to keep them upright. Those are hard things. You have to make choices. And that's why I want to give credit to what Kansas City's done and what Brett Veach has done with the Chiefs here over the last few years, because they have really worked. And Steve Spagnuolo gets a lot of the credit too, because they have reworked around what they have to pay Mahomes, Kelsey, protecting those guys with an offensive line, pay a Chris Jones. There was a contract issue, as we know, at the start of the season. But 15, and I don't have the count as of last week when Rich was doing the game in Germany. I don't have the count right now, but when we had them earlier in the year, of their 25 guys on the defensive side of the ball, 15 were either year 1 or year 2. which meant rookie contracts, some of them less expensive than others, and you got to put it together on some portion of your team with a little bit less expensive players. So can Cincinnati, after this year, keep Jamar Chase and T. Higgins with Burrow, plus the offensive line to protect and all that stuff? It's going to be really hard, because I asked Chris on the air, and that's what I love about Collinsworth. He's not shy about sharing his opinion. I says, T. Higgins a true number one receiver? Because, Andrew, we've always seen the guy opposite a great player gets that money, but he's not a number one guy. And Chris said, absolutely. He thinks T. Higgins is a number one. So if somebody's going to pay him a boatload of money to be their guy, to go with a stud quarterback or a future star quarterback, will the Bengals look like this? So maybe there's an urgency there as well. But to the main crux of your question, there's urgency with Buffalo for a variety of reasons. And some of them are salary cap, and a couple of them the vets they have on the defensive side of the ball.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.